5 turbo cars that you'll never lose any money on. Now, these 5 boosted cars on this list aren't just any tuner's wet dream. Oh no, you can also drive them without losing any money on them if you buy them correctly using the Ideal Car strategies. And the reason that you're seeing this video is because you guys loved the video that I made on 5 used sports cars that you'll never lose a dime on. And I said that if that video got 1,647 likes, I'd release this video. Well, Ideal fam, you guys voted by hitting that like button. And in this video, I'm gonna show you 5 Ideal cars that have at least 1 turbo, and in some cases have 2 turbos, which can only double the fun, right? Then I'm gonna dissect the depreciation schedules during your ownership experience. And lastly, I'm gonna show you my pick of an Ideal car that would fit perfectly into the Ideal Car strategies. Oh, and let's up the ante. If this video gets 3,737 likes, I'm going to release either 5 tuner cars that you'll never lose a dime on, or 5 more sports cars you'll never lose a dime on. So let me know which one you'd rather see by voting up here in this poll. Boom, Lego. All right, we are back, and the first one on the list is the mighty Mitsubishi Evolution 9 MR. This noisy, rigid, Spartan all-wheel drive son of a rally car is everything you could ask for out of a turbo 4-door package. And you gotta respect your elders, because this Evo shares some of its DNA with the Evo 2, which we never got in the US and is one of my top 5 Ideal cars that you need to import in 2019. But the Evo 9 is an advancement of the species and is stronger, faster, and undeniably better looking. Wow, doesn't this sound like a Tinder profile? The turbocharged and intercooled dual overhead cam inline 4 pushes out 286 horses and goes 0 to 60 in just 4.6 seconds. Yeah, that is pretty quick, but the real charm is how stable the car is, even when you're on the interesting side of 100 miles per hour. And let's not forget its roots. This thing loves to be rallied, but you don't just buy this car for its ideal performance, because it's an ideal value as well. And here's why. Well guys, here's the price trends for the Evo 9 MR, and as you can see, in the last 3 years, it has been trending upwards. Again, the squiggly lines are awesome. That means that it's leveling out, and overall, if you were to draw a line from here 3 years ago to where it is today, you can see that it's gone up. And so in the last year, it's gone up over 8%, and it's definitely a great value right now, and one that's trending up. All right, and here's an Evo 9 MR that sold for $18,500. And one thing is the more stock they are, the better, but this one has a replacement block that you'd want to make sure that there's documentation that was done at a good shop. But it does have some modifications, but most of them look reversible. So the more stock these cars are, the more value they bring, but with a few modifications, you can definitely get more horses out of them. Like this has 387, and it makes it a little bit more fun. So this is one that, for the price, is definitely an ideal deal. Next on the list, we're gonna take a step back into the 80s and put the ick in Buick. Yeah, who doesn't love the Buick GNX, which stands for Grand National Experimental? Yeah, this car will not outhandle any of the other boosted cars on this list, but that is perfectly okay with me, because the GNX was built in a simpler time. All you needed to do was find a lonely straight road, press your left foot on the brake while easing your right foot into the throttle. Oh boy. Can you guess what happens next? You slam your right foot on the gas pedal, and that old Buick will launch itself, fighting for traction as it does 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Not bad for 1987. And this front engine, rear wheel drive dinosaur pushes out an underrated 276 horsepower from its turbocharged, intercooled 3.8 liter V6, which isn't bad, especially for the era. So let's swerve into the depreciation schedules and see why this is an ideal car. Well, there are only 547 GNXs actually built in 1987, but there were over 20,000 Grand Nationals built in 1987, and this is what the depreciation schedule looks like for that car. And as you can see, over the last 3 years, it has bumped up slightly, but then been very steady. So with the limited number of GNXs, and one thing I forgot to mention in the actual video was that this car was faster than the Ferrari F40 and the Porsche 930. So this is a very special car from a company that wasn't really known for its muscle cars. It really is the muscle car of the 80s. So as you can tell here, if this is pretty flat, then with such a limited number of actual GNXs being built, it's only appreciating and most likely going to continue to go up. All right, guys, here's a little trick from the Ideal Car strategies where we can look at sold listings and then try to figure out what a car that's currently listed is worth. So this GNX sold for $75,000 and it has, let's see here, 8,400 miles on it. 2-owner car. Looks like it's in really good condition. So I'd obviously have to go through all these photos to make sure. But then this one here is available at $82,500. Has quite a bit of interest. And if we go down, it has 12,000. So slightly more miles unrestored OEM. Looks like it's in really good condition as well. So we'd want to get that car below what this one was at. So around 70 grand. But these are such awesome cars from the 80s and very iconic muscle car from GM. Now let's forward to 1993 when Toyota introduced the Mark IV Supra. Yeah, the Supra, believe it or not, has been around for over 40 years, with the Mark V recently being announced. Hey, keep your opinions to yourself. But the fourth time's a charm, because the Mark IV was the generation that the Toyota Supra really came into its own. Not only did it look the part with its curvaceous styling, it had the heat to back it up with a pair, yes, 2 turbochargers attached to that iconic 2JZ GTE inline-6 shooting out 320 horses. And that power plant rocketed the Japanese icon from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.6 seconds. This is a sports car that punches above its weight in both looks and performance. And it's also an ideal value. And here is why. Well, guys, there's not much to see here. I mean, Supras, as we all know, are hot, very hot. And with the Mark V coming out and with some fake vents, I think the Mark IV Supra is a safe bet and one over the last 3 years that has been going up quite a bit. I think right now it's a decent time to get in. The prices are up there. I think that they're gonna stay steady, if not continue. As we all know, Supras can make a ton of power and the 6-speed manual can hold a ton of power. So if finding one that's relatively stock is pretty tough to do. Now this one is relatively stock, only an exhaust, some painted calipers, and that is pretty rare. And it's kind of like the Evo 9, the stocker, the better, especially when it comes time to sell. So this one here for $66,388 that sold is one that I definitely would have been looking at. But really, you can't go wrong. It's a Mark IV Supra. Now let's switch gears and look into a used M car that is trading hands for more than it costs to buy a brand new BMW M2 competition, which I gotta say is definitely an ideal car. But so is this one, the BMW 1M. Now real quick, it's called the 1M because it's not the M1. This is the M1. But this little BMW reminds us of the nimble, neutral handling, frisky M cars we all adore. And with a 3-liter twin turbocharged inline-6 with 335 horses, zips this baby from 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, which is quick, but this car is more about quickness and agility. And this car can carry an astounding amount of speed through every single corner. It's a modern, limited production M car, which makes it a rare sight to see in the wild. So let's see why it's also an ideal car. Now the BMW 1M was actually a very limited production model with only 2,700 units actually produced in the first round. Now there was an overwhelming demand for the car and they produced a total of 6,309 units until the end of production in 2012. So you can see here it was a very limited number and it's actually going above their original MSRP now on average. So over the last couple of years, we can see that the prices are trending up. So here's a nice example, a 2011 in Valencia orange, which I really like. And just going through the photos, you can see that it's a very nice car, and this N54 takes on mods extremely well. It's not the most reliable engine, but you can modify the heck out of it and make this thing a little monster. So this car would be one that would be on the list for prospects. And since the car is already priced aggressively with some negotiation tactics outlined in the ideal car strategies, this could definitely be an ideal car. And to round out this top 5 list is a car that's affectionately known to be a supercar killer and goes by the name Godzilla. Yep, the Nissan R35 GTR. Hold on a sec. Hello? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, bye. Okay, I was just told that the reason the GTR was never allowed in the USA until 2009 was because it was just too damn fast for the police to catch.
and we say bye-bye.
But the jury is still out on that one. The R35 GTR is a gripping blend of speed and technology, which makes it one of the easiest and most secure cars to drive fast. 0 to 60 miles per hour is barbecued in just 3.3 seconds, thanks to a 3.8-liter V6 with 2 parallel turbochargers providing forced induction. It literally defies logic. I mean, it's a big, heavy, complex car that is just as much fun at the drag strip as it is at the Nürburgring. This car was an instant classic the day it hit American soil in 2009, and one that should be considered as your next ideal car. And here's why. Well, here's the depreciation schedule for the R35 GTR. Now we're looking at a 2012, and this car, as you can see, has depreciated over the last couple of years. This is a 3-year graph, and then boom, in the last year it's gone up almost 25%. And so this car is on the upswing right now, and definitely an ideal car, both with performance, and it's a relatively safe bet when it comes to pricing. So here's a 2013 Nissan GTR Black Edition, which was a $9,500 option from the factory. Makes the car a little bit more special, again, a little bit easier to sell when it comes to that point to move on to another ideal car. And this car is priced extremely aggressively. Now, I like the little bit later models. The early models, the CBAs, had some issues with the transmission, but this is a DBA model, and the DBAs are pretty bulletproof. So going through this, it's a little higher mileage, but at the end of the day, it is that Black Edition, and these cars are pretty bulletproof. So definitely a car that I would be interested in. What a list. Now, which one is your favorite boosted ideal car? Or did I miss one, like an MR2? Let us know down in the comments. Plus, you can earn extra credit by putting ideal in front of the car. And which one would be mine? Well, it would be the Ideal. Did that really just cut out? Go down into the description and check out which one it would be. Oh, and if you want to join the Ideal fam and learn how to properly buy any of the cars on this list with the goal of either driving them for free or making a little bit of money on them, check out the Ideal Car Strategies. Okay, if you liked this video, you are going to love the video about the 5 modern American sleeper cars that you never want to race unless you're in a GTR. You can go check that out over here. Or if you want to see what YouTube recommends you watch next, click here. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, because either way, you can't lose. And as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle.